Okay, good morning to all. We can have a roll call.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Here.
Salwan,
Present.
Ariola, Canepa, Fugazi, Lackey, here. Vice Chair Zuber,
Here.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Ex officio members, do we have anyone on from Stanhope?
Suze Wallen, Mayor of Modesto, representing StanCog.
Thank you. Do we have anyone on from SJCOG? Seeing none. SJRT?
Here.
Thank you. We have Bernard Beasley in person. And then anyone from Caltrans? All right.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, we'll have public comment on any non-agenda items. Anyone in the room here for a non-agenda item? Seeing none. Anyone online for a non-agenda item?
Seeing none online.
Okay, with that, we move on to the consent calendar. I'd like to just make a note here to pull for just brief discussion 4.1, 4.3, and 4.7, and 4.8. Are there any other commissioners that would like to pull for discussion any other items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there anyone in the public who would like one item on consent? Seeing none, if we could then move to 4.1, I just wanted to make a note on the minutes. Minutes are correct, but I did want to state that there would be a notice, or that there was a statement regarding an update addressing a service ticket expiration period within 60 to 90 days. So just a reminder that we commend staff on continuing to demonstrate excellence in public safety and going after the operator life-saving funding. I think that's an essential program. I don't know, Mr. Orlando, if we've used that in the past, the funding opportunity through Operation Lifesaver, but it seems like it's a great opportunity for us to continue that education outreach. So
Yeah, we have in the past, and it's an annual participation for the agency, and they're actually nationwide the leader in that in the month of September for rural safety, so you'll regularly participate.
well, that's true. So explains why we have such a good record in public safety. And then lastly, just a note on, I saw a dip in the ACE monthly ridership and fare revenue in April compared to last year. Do you have any information about that occurrence and why that may have occurred?
Yeah, so I think in April, a couple of factors led to the ridership dip. One is it is spring break, so you see a little bit of seasonal dip in ridership just because a lot of folks are taking spring break and not sticking to their normal work schedule. So you see a little bit of effect from that. And then we're also watching closely just the trends with layoffs in the Bay Area, tech layoffs, to see if that's an enduring impact. We did bounce back in May, so it doesn't appear to be a trend, but it's something we'll watch.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that update. With that, if there's no other comments, I will
Sure.
entertain a motion.
Chair.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I just had a question. I noticed that in the same vein that you did the on-trend performance in June, and I noticed the same thing with
And great things. So
that's what you do about it.
yeah,
It's just
one
one
more
more
sugar rail. Yeah.
Well, thank you. With that, I would move the consent.
Okay.
Moved and seconded, do we need to do a roll call?
We do. We have one member on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Aye.
Salwan.
Aye.
I saw Commissioner Fugazi.
Yes.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Lackey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to item 5, adopting a resolution for the fiscal year 26-27 operating and capital budgets. So we have presentation by our work program.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be doing the presentation along with David McCarty, who's going to step up to the podium there. We're going to go back and forth and present with will be the third and final consideration of the annual work program and budget. As the commission knows, annually you adopt the work program and budget, which guides not only the operations of the ACE service, but really the work of the entire commission. This is the third of a series of presentations about the budget. We started with a general overview of the conditions and some of our assessments going into the budget process. In your June meeting, you went through a detailed review of the actual budget tables and what the budget looks like. And then today, in your final consideration, we're actually going to walk through the strategic framework that we developed to guide the budget and the work of the commission, along with some specific initiatives, or these specific initiatives we'll be undertaking. The things that the budget you're adopting will be funded. So that's what we'll be walking through. I did want to start with just a little bit of grounding in terms of what this document covers. As you know, the commission's work since its inception has evolved considerably. We started as an agency that ran a commuter rail service. We've now really grown into a multifaceted transportation enterprise. We do a lot of things. Of course, we still operate the ACE service. That's at the core of what we do. We also are delivering on a very ambitious capital program through Valley Rail. We manage rolling stock, and we do that from a maintenance standpoint, not only for the ACE rolling stock, but now, as of last August, we oversee the management of the entire state intercity rail fleet out of the RMS. So that's a pretty significant responsibility. We're delivering other capital projects beyond Valley Rail. We'll have a ribbon cutting tomorrow for one of those that you'll see. So very excited about that. We also, as you know, through the San Joaquin JPA, manage the Gold Runner service and oversee that and track operations of that operation and that service and that body as well. Advancing our customer experience initiatives, and as you'll hear today, delivering on the Track C educational program. So these are all things that we do that have grown out of that original mission of operating the ACE service. I really like to show this image, as you might recognize. This picture here, this is the state of California. Activities throughout the entire state of California. We I think are unique. The only entity, transportation entity in the state that actually operates services throughout the entire state. So it is really a complex and significant work program that we're taking a look at. As we looked at the work program this year, we really broke it down to its core, which is how do we enable those services, how do we deliver those services, how do we grow them, and how do we sustain them? And to do that, the staff and I went through a series of internal meetings. We had, I think, 7 or 8 internal meetings where we really wanted to say, okay, what strategic framework can we apply to that work? How does that get expressed into our budget? And so you've seen what we lovingly call the pinwheel before in your budget presentation. So this is where that series of meetings culminated, which is our strategic framework for the year, and part of which we'll be adopting in the document today. It is intended to not only guide our work, but really align and focus the staff's priority around a set of objectives that are consistent with the commission's goals, and really help us drive all of those activities that I outlined on the previous slides. So I'll just walk through these quickly. So drive service quality. Everything starts with service. If we don't get service right, nothing else works. And so there you'll see, as we walk through today, a number of initiatives around service quality. You can't do service if your finances aren't stable. So stable finances is at the foundation. So maintaining fiscal stability. We know we're growing, and so we can't keep growing. Just doesn't mean building things. It means making sure your processes and procedures and your overall business can keep up with that growth. And so you'll see a lot of initiatives around scaling our business processes. And then, of course, there's that expansion. So the Valley Rail program, which is a really significant effort for the commission in the coming years. Those efforts significantly ramp up this year. You'll start to see that in our activities. We'll walk through some of the timelines today. But that work again isn't just the building of things, which is super complex in and of itself. It's preparing the operations to run those new services. And so there's a number of activities and initiatives around preparing the organization to run that new service. So what we wanted to walk through, and we'll do this at a high level because it was in the work program in your packet, is the culmination of the strategic framework was the pillars that I just walked through. But underneath those pillars are specific strategic initiatives with timelines and key performance indicators that we'll be executing over the year. And as I've said internally, this isn't just a document that we're putting in front of you. This is going to be our lives every day. It's also about what are we going to do over the next fiscal year, and that's what you'll see here in this strategic initiatives and performance indicators. So with that, I'll turn it over to David, who'll walk you through the drive service quality.
Yeah, really, I think from the perspective of the commission and the staff, driving service quality really becomes like the tip of the sphere, like for you, like as the program exists. The reason why all of the other things that we want to do exist is because we care about the services that we operate today, both the ACE service as well as the Gold Runner service, and ensuring that we're not just sort of maintaining those services, but driving those services into the future. So there are several initiatives, and there are several sort of like grounding principles that we have put into the strategic framework around driving service quality. And you sort of see at the top level there, these are things like optimizing these core services that we operate today, strengthening the service reliability of those services, ensuring that the services are reliable for the passengers that are riding today, so that the passengers that are riding in the future like are sort of adopting like a service that operates well. And then as always, underlying everything within the strategic framework is a focus on safety. How do we ensure that safety is a priority? Now you see sort of the initiatives themselves are broken down into quarters, like here, like on the slide, and there are quite a few initiatives that we're engaged in. Now these are initiatives, as Chris mentioned, that span all of sort of the functions that you saw on that slide with the boxes that came up. So there's a robust set of initiatives. The quarter in which the initiative is outlined is the quarter in which we sort of plan to substantially complete that initiative, though many of these initiatives are ongoing. So like in Q1, like we plan to sort of release a safety reporting QR code here actually internally for staff, though that QR code goes up like to report safety concerns, doesn't mean that initiative stops at that point, right? It's ongoing. But a few things just to highlight like sort of across the year in 26-27 for driving service quality. One is we are endeavoring to start an ACE Starlink pilot. So as we are aware and we do hear from our passengers, there are a few points within the ACE service, like in the Altamont, as well as sort of like down into the Niles Canyon area, where we lose the cellular Wi-Fi service that the passengers rely on. And I'm just going to ignore what the screen and so No, I can see it here, but I wasn't sure if online they can still. I think we lost.
We just lost, we are still online. We lost audio, so we are just getting back on. I've switched audio to my laptop, but we will take about 5 minutes to get reset. So sorry.
What's our last
Yes. So we are still on, we just need about 5 minutes, so we're still live online.
Well, that's it. That's we said it was. What's funny, it said, research. Tells you which is good.
Do you want to join my hotspot instead?
Let's try it. He said it. You have to make the other. Now that they're around. Now that you're on remote, comment, that's the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like not. And that's. Yeah.
All right, we are back on and confirming that our sound is working on our main screen.
We need to test that with.
We have one individual saying that yes, sound is working, but that should be good. All right, so sorry about that.
Everything is.
Okay. So just to wrap up, we are sort of ingesting all of the comments both from the public as well as from our stakeholders throughout the state of California related to the throughway bus service that connects to the Gold Runner service. And then that will come out in a study that will go to SJJPA like for consideration. It'll be a combination of sort of optimizing routes, increasing efficiency, potential for new routes in the future that need further study. So that's a really important initiative that's happening in the very early part of next fiscal year. In addition to that, we do have a series, which you can see in Q4 of state-owned. It says sort of like state-owned initiatives. These are projects that we are partnering with the state of California on their fleet. So as you sort of see that rail support services category within your budget, these are items that are like in progress to improve the state fleet for the Gold Runner and the Capital Corridor service, as well as for the Pacific Surfliner service in Southern California. And so those projects do run through the commission, and all of the staff time and all of the expenses associated with those projects are funded by the state of California. On sort of like some of the safety side, we are engaging in many of our sort of standard safety procedures, like our joint tabletop exercises, making sure that everyone's briefed and aware of what they're meant to do in the case of an emergency. But we're also including some security enhancements. So at the RMF, one of the things that we're working on, as many of you have been to the RMF, some security enhancements for access to the RMF. It's a very busy facility at this point, and we're looking to implement an actual security guard at the gate who will sort of like check you in and out as you're accessing the facility, which will help increase security as well as like sort of the flow into the facility as visitors visit the RMF. A really key one that I'll end on this for driving service quality, and particularly for the ACE service, is we are in the process of transitioning the ACE shuttle service that operates out of the Great America Station from being sort of overseen by VTA to being overseen directly by the commission. So in FY 26-27, you'll hear the series of items related to that transition is very important. That we have direct oversight and control of that service. It's a really key service for ACE. So that will be a very large lift and a level of activity for the agency over the course of this fiscal year that really will drive service quality, improve the service for the passenger. And with that, I'll hand it over to Chris for the next pillar.
As I said in the introduction, none of the great things that David just talked about happen unless our finances are in order. So an important pillar of the strategic initiatives is maintaining fiscal stability. We're going to implement a number of things over the course of this fiscal year that'll help us with our financial situation, not only in the current fiscal year, but really the goal is really setting that path for the long term. We already, and you see that reflected in the budget tables that you saw in the last meeting, have taken significant effort to make sure our operations are efficient and control our costs. You'll see in this budget that our costs are very much contained, well below even inflation levels, and so that represents us making a concerted effort to make sure our spend is commensurate with the revenue that we see coming in. As you know, and as I mentioned earlier, we're growing. And so as we grow, we need to find ways to fund that new growth and those new services. And so a significant effort this year will be exerted on making sure we can identify new sources of funding for those new operations. So you'll see a number of work initiatives around how do we identify funding streams to support the new services that we're getting ready to launch with Valley Rail. So that's part of the work stream. We've started work already on, and our objective is that you will see this with the adoption of your next fiscal year budget, which will be a multi-year operating budget. We did a shadow one this year because we want to work out the kinks, get dial in. But our goal is that when you're approving an annual budget, you also get the look of the coming years, so that we can anticipate challenges ahead or opportunities ahead when we're at adopting that budget, and not just adopting 1 year, but that we have that forward year budget. So that's part of what we're doing. As David just mentioned, one of those new services we're adding and taking on the management of is the shuttle service. And so there is a work stream and initiative around finding additional funding for that service. It's a robust, well-funded, robust service. That last mile ride for the folks we serve in Silicon Valley is critical. Our services aren't possible without that last mile ride. We're very happy that we're going to have direct management of that in the coming fiscal year, but we also want to make sure we fund that appropriately and it's well funded. So all of those efforts, along with a number of things, are going to help us execute a sound business strategy. I didn't talk about this specifically, but one of the things that we are another initiative that we're focused on is our funding stream. So as you know, if you dug into the tables of the budget, we get funding from a lot of different places. We were talking about this other day. It used to be called color money, but I now say that's no longer valid, because it's not just two-dimensional, it's actually three-dimensional, because it's not just a different color of money. Each money has its own time frame, its own risk, its own rule. Is you'll see this in the latter half of the fiscal year is, as we take on Valley Rail, those are significant capital projects with the significant cash flow demands. And so we're working to develop a cash flow strategy so that the agency can swallow those larger projects, manage them to completion, and that the impact of that remains consistent with what we're doing with fiscal position overall. Next, David will talk about. Here we go. Oh, this one's mine. Sorry. As I said earlier, the growth that's coming with Valley Rail is going to change the scale of our services overall. And so one of the things that we started this fiscal year, but will really come to completion in the coming fiscal year, is taking a really hard look at how we scale our business processes to meet that moment in terms of the growth need of the agency. We've been going through a process where I jokingly call it how a bill becomes a law. Where we deconstruct the entire process and say, okay, how are we doing this today? Is this process sufficient to meet where the agency will be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? If not, what do we need to do, either from a policy and procedure standpoint, or from a system standpoint, or from just in some ways, just a cultural standpoint, like, okay, are we ready to take on that new big thing? And so, this one for me is super important because, this is how we deliver the things that we're saying we will deliver, is to make sure the engine, our business processes are sufficient to do what it needs to do. And so, we're going through things in this, everything from, how we manage the grants we get. And so we're implementing a new grant management software that'll be done in the first quarter. That'll help us track and we can do compliance around our grants. We're, as I mentioned, conducting a comprehensive review of how we do our capital delivery to make sure everything from the moment we, the project's just twinkle in our eye to when we cut the ribbon and start the service, everything in between has a really buttoned up process and procedure that we're following. And none of this makes sense, or none of this works without the people. And so we're also looking at our internal processes and making sure that we not only are timely and diligent with the assessment and review and rewarding of our internal staff, but that we're articulating for all positions a clear career path, so that we know our first best growth was from within. And so that we are growing staff as we grow our scale our business processes. And then the final one that I'll note, along with the multi-year budget that we're looking at, we're also have started to develop a multi-year capital improvement program. Typically when we've adopted the work program, you get sort of a 1-year snapshot of the capital program. We're going to extend that out, and so you can really see what's coming down the pipeline in the coming years. And none of these capital projects are achievable in 1 year. And so for us, that multi-year look at the comprehensive capital improvement program, which you'll adopt and consider next year as a part of your adoption of this work program, will give you that multi-year look of where are we headed in terms of a capital program.
Sort of and dovetailing off of that, in terms of expanding the services and infrastructure, really what mostly is encapsulated in this pillar is the work on the Valley Rail program that we're working on. And so when we sort of think of that, there are key deliverables in Q1, Q2, Q3 that are related to the capital program, which is particularly Valley Rail. So you see sort of in Q1, there's several projects that are going to be completing their design. So it's been a major milestone within their delivery process, including even in Q1 having an invitation for a bid go out for the new Oakley station, which is on the Gold Runner service, as well as the completion of a project within the Valley Rail program, which is the Lake to Escalon, which is a track project sort of in the Modesto Escalon area that really is our responsibility to deliver for 8 round trips for Gold Runner, which will be coming later in the future. But you do see in Q2 some other key invitation for bids going out, including the invitation for bid for the Midtown station, which will be the first station in the northern portion of the Valley Rail program, where the new ACE service will operate, as well as construction starting in this next fiscal year for both Oakley and Midtown stations, really putting shovels in the ground, really putting to work the grant funding that has been given to the Rail Commission for the expansion of services. And we're really tracking these timelines on a weekly basis as a team to ensure that we're meeting these deadlines and really pushing the initiatives forward and these projects forward. In addition to the projects themselves, there are a series of initiatives that really undergird these projects to ensure that we're successful. One of those is the Valley Rail Communications Plan and Strategy. So that is an entire work stream unto itself. And there are a series now, as you have provided staff with direction on where the Valley Rail program is moving, to refresh all of the communication channels that are associated with Valley Rail. So that's everything from the website to PowerPoint presentations, to one-pagers, to all the things that not only staff, but you as commissioners utilize to communicate the program. All of that is in process. Those are planning to be completed in Q1 so that the public is well aware of what is happening with the program. Undergirding that as well is an operational plan. So it's one thing to sort of set out to build sort of shiny new stations, which we do want to do, and we are going to be doing, but we also need to operate the service that runs at those stations. So there's a distinct project where the staff on the operations and equipment side, as well as fiscal and other supporting departments are coming together to say, well, what does it look like now? Like, what will the budget look like when we operate that first service? How do we align the resources internally to be prepared to operate that fifth round trip from Natomas? And that is a deliverable that will give this agency the stability to then operate that service when the tracks are completed, when the stations are completed, and we're ready to operate service. In addition to that, as Chris mentioned, the funding portion discussions with our partners about, well, how do we find the operational funding for the new service and the expanded service, and those processes. It's all about timing and relationships. So we are like building those relationships and also looking for the right timing. Certain operational funding sources, like our multi-year programs, we need to like get our requests in the right moment so that those funds come at the time we anticipate to operate that service. Those are ongoing discussions, and we have planned to make significant progress in FY 26-27, like on the pathway to funding the new service that will be operated. And with that, Chris, we go to the next slide. So, well, how do like that? There's a lot, right? We only cover a few of the initiatives on each of those slides. So, how do we make sure that like we're organizing this in a way that we're driving towards delivery? And I think one of the key things behind that is making sure that we have very clear key performance indicators or KPIs related to these different pillars. How are we monitoring that? Like, we succeeded, we did what we said we were going to do. So we're going to walk just quickly through a few of these. So on the drive service quality perspective, you know, these are things that are quite often in your work plan. So things like ridership, on-time performance. These are really key indicators for, are we driving service quality that passengers want to ride, and ensuring that we have sort of the systems in place to track these things, and we do for the most part. We're also very keen on like passenger satisfaction indicators, and this upcoming year is a year where we will be re-engaging with our onboard survey, so we'll get direct feedback from passengers on how we're doing both on the ACE and the Gold Runner service. And there are several other areas that we'll be monitoring the success of the service quality. You see some of those outlined here in the bullets.
In the pillar around maintaining fiscal stability, really this is about both how are we doing budget to actuals, what the overall budget, our revenue tracking to what we forecasted. A really important measure for us, and one that has been increasing in past years, but we're going to try and contain and decreases our cost per passenger mile, because that really tells us what does it cost to put the trains out there on the rails, and so we'll be watching that closely. Along with very important fare box recovery, that's a measure that we report on not only to the state, but to the FRA and FTA. So a very important measure for the fiscal stability of our services. And then, as I noted earlier, that revenue diversification. So we have making sure that our revenues and the sources of those revenues match the operations.
On the expanded service and infrastructure side, we as I mentioned before, we showed sort of in that slide, as well as we have other communication tools that we've shared with you that show sort of a timeline of deliverables on the Valley Roll program. So one of the ways in which we are ensuring that we're delivering on our promises, to make sure that we actually adhere to the schedules that we communicate, and then when we don't adhere to those schedules, communicating very clearly why that schedule has shifted. Similar to on the operations side, as Chris just mentioned, on the capital side, we'll also be monitoring the budget that is put forward for these projects, and how well we're tracking against that for actuals.
And then in the scale business processes, these are specific projects, and so the measure there will be, did we execute the project in the quarter that we said we would and pick up, and so we'll be tracking progress against those milestones. all of these bullets within the work program have a specific number attached to them, so it's not just a soft bullet, it is, they have data attached to them, whether it's a percentage of range or a specific target, so you. Each of these has a number target to it, so that's what we'll be matching into it, so as a part of your consideration and adoption of the work program today, will also be applying those KPIs, and staff will be working against that as a measure of our work. Okay, that was a lot, so thank you for staying with us. We really wanted you to understand what the budget you were approving or considering today was funding. We won't go through the specific tables within the budget. You saw those in your last meeting. There have been no material changes in those budgets since you saw them. And so these top lines that you see here on the screen are consistent with what you saw in your last meeting. As you can see, very close growth, as I noted earlier. But this is the top line and the budgets for all the specific line items that are included in the specific budgets that support the activities that we outlined throughout the presentation. So with that, thank you for hanging with us as we walk through that, and we'll take questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none here online.
Seeing that online?
Okay, I've got just a couple questions and comments. I appreciate the last comment you made about having what I would assume to be percentages or specific benchmark targets for each of the KPIs. Is that, I'm hearing that correctly?
Yeah, those are included within the work program, and you know, depends on the measure. Sometimes it's like if it's budget to actual, there's a range set within this range, or if it's something like fair box recovery, it's a specific number.
How do you want to present that? Because I think it's great to demonstrate both where the challenges may be and successes you're having to the commission. Do you anticipate like quarterly, even just in the consent, I'm fine, it doesn't have to be fully discussed, but just so we know what progress is being made and what challenges you may be facing.
No, absolutely. Our intent is to report on that to the commission quarterly on consent, and so we'll provide you with a summary. We'll as I said earlier, but we're going to manage to that week to week internally, so we're going to be watching those very closely. Some of them are not something that changes much week to week, but things like those project schedules certainly changing week to week, and so we'll be managing those on a weekly basis. But definitely happy to come back and provide the commission with a summary of where we are against those goals on a quarterly basis.
Okay, and then relative to the budget, obviously transitioning to a shuttle oversight service for Great America, we're anticipating there are balance there about some savings we may have, but other costs we're going to incur. Are you comfortable with where we are in the budget for that?
Yes, very much so. You're correct. It will be a balance. We'll have some savings and some other costs. We also, we'll be going through a procurement as well. So we'll see how that turns out. The positive is that we'll have a greater control of the service and a greater direct integration to our operation, and so we'll give a really positive change for service that's critical to getting our passengers to their ultimate destination and back in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah. And then the State University Rail program funding for that, is there not a state goal for this play there, or are we really responsible for additional sources?
I'm glad you pointed that out. So the JPA funding, while you adopt that budget as a part of this program, it is state funded, and the JPA adopts that budget. We submitted that budget to the state on April 1st, and it is funded to the state. So it is adopted as a part of this work program, but that budget is authorized and done through the annual business plan process, which the San Joaquin JPA does approve, and then funded through the state. And so it's not a direct funding obligation of the Rail Commission, but we adopt it because we administer that. So like a lot of the other portions of our operation, it's funded through another source. But the commission oversees the operations and management of that budget.
And then just lastly, I noticed a number of policies being put out as either needing to be created or updated. Are any of those policies that the commission would have to approve, or are those administrative?
They are primarily administrative, but there may be ones that may come back to you with a refresh, because some of those policies are board adopted, so there may be, as we do that assessment, there may be a few that would come back to you and say, ask the commission for who you would go with those.
I just know, I commend you and the staff, 6 months to come up with a strategic framework starting from, I don't want to say it's ground zero, but the reality is we've had a big shift. And I think that's one of the reasons that you're selected to sit in that seat, Mr. Aranda. So thank you very much. It's a terrific document, and it gives us a lot of direction and confidence relative to where we're going as a commission. So yes.
I had a comment. What I appreciated was the adherence to project schedules and being able to see Lake and Escalon coming to completion, as well as construction starting on the Oakley and the Midtown Station. I think it's very important because people are always looking like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? When's it gonna happen? And so, you know, I've been a part of this since like 2015, and to see these new stations coming on board is so important because our ridership is increasing. I mean, there's a member of my staff that takes, they're taking Gold Runner, but I'm looking forward to them being able to get on in Elk Grove now, because they moved to Elk Grove as opposed to, they were coming from Rancho Cordova. But still, that's just one. And as we expand, at least here in Stockton, we're going to be adding hockey. We're going to be having arena football. There can only be one arena football team in a 90-mile radius. So Sacramento will be coming, you know, here. Modesto will be coming here. Some of the Bay Area will be coming here. So I'm interested to see how that all works out, and whether or not rail can be a part of that, as opposed to having people on the road. So I like the plan and how well thought out it is, and then, you know, keeping not just us abreast, but the public abreast of those project schedules.
So
Yes.
I do have a question going back to the safety aspect of the plan. You mentioned in Q1, there's going to be a safety reporting QR code. Can you kind of explain what that function is going to be? Is it going to be items for consideration from riders? Or is it going to be something that's more immediate, non-emergency?
This is primarily actually an administrative, like, or a rail commission staff like initiative for both this facility as well as the RMF, for staff to be able to relay sort of safety concerns or safety things that they've noticed, like in and around our work areas, and to ensure that those get prioritized within our safety committee and our safety team to get like rectified or addressed. Like,
Okay, so that's more internal.
Right.
So how do you become aware of safety concerns on transportation side?
Yeah, we do have a process like and like materials like on board for passengers to report safety concerns, whether they do that through like one of our sort of digital channels or directly to our PSR. Those also get sort of noted and then sent to the safety committee to be addressed, and sort of like they review that like on a regular basis.
Okay, and then my other question is, as you know, I'm big into the anti-human trafficking realm. So when we have information in our transportation, is it going to go with train, shuttles, and buses? And then we had talked about in Manteca, we're working on getting awareness stickers into all of our bathroom facilities, our public bathrooms, right? So for Manteca, it's gonna have a local 209 number that people can reach. However, since we are in the Bay Area and in the Valley, are we gonna have that ability to have both local numbers from both sides? That way it's a little bit more of an immediate response, rather than a national hotline that might take time.
And watching it like fun.
So we are working on that, actually have rights requests, stickers that are specifically for the Bay Area folks to call. So on board the trains, there's a sticker for Bay folks to call, and then also for just the general public. And then we were going to connect for the 209 to see how we can work with our PM department to incorporate that.
So I do have the mock-up of that sticker, I'm meeting on designing in a moment. So just so everybody's aware, she and I spoke. And I asked for funding to have these stickers created. And we were gonna talk, and I haven't had a chance to bring it to the commission, but it's all in, just talk right now, but to be able to get the valley specific, valley local stickers alongside with Bay Area. And my hope is, that I'll be able to scan this to you and you can. I suggest something the August if it's the I have not, I spoke to Supervisor Elliott and I've already put in a grant request for it, so if it's not enough funding, then you can talk to PA. But I just, in my opinion, it's important to have both local members out there. Because we don't know where our victims are, and if they're from the Bay Area, that they find themselves in the valley to get more immediate response. But yeah, that was my question, is since we're taking on these, the shuttle system, if we're gonna implement the same type of preventative, anti-human trafficking program in all transportation modes.
Yes.
You mentioned the Midtown Station, specifically, where is that?
So it's near sort of 19th and like R Street, like in like Midtown Sacramento, like very adjacent to sort of the new sort of Ice Walks development. That's like
Okay, good, because Livermore is also plenty in Midtown.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get tech connect Midtown to Midtown. Like, you know, in the future.
we can do that, but I just wanted to clarify that that's different.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay, any other, we have Commissioner online, is there anybody online who wants to finish any questions?
No comments online?
Any public comment online,
Seeing none online?
and any public comment in the room, so. Seeing none in the room, I will
Comment from the commission.
motion.
Move to approve or second?
Kind of the commission, just a couple comments, if I may.
Okay.
Mr. Orlando was talking about how we're moving the state. We literally, we're across the entire state and we're moving people to school, to work. The work that we do here is critically important. And we've all heard that a city should be operated like a business. Nonsense, we all operate like at a left, a meeting with the Hamburg Transit Authority, Rios Bus. And we're talking about our budget and the way that we have to call together all these funds. If we did not exist, imagine what the outcome would be. We'd have a choice, but we're getting people to school and to work. And the reason that we can do that is because we are this governmental agency that meets this critically important need. And yeah, we're already 80% loss, but that doesn't mean we aren't critically important. Now, if we're operating like a business, and we're fully funded, we wouldn't exist because nobody would be able to afford our service. So I just have to congratulate staff and thank you so much for bringing together all of these moving pieces to make this organization work. Because as Mr. Left pointed out, we can move. And that's very, very important for everybody. So it's a quality of life decision, and I'm very proud to be a part of this organization that makes this all happen. So thank you very much to the staff and everybody that's making this.
I would just make a note to that we steal the best of business practices, because I think that we look at diversification of revenue. We are operating a percent
Operating
way
very
to fill that. So
They're very efficient, like in business.
Yes.
And that's a key component. So we're very efficient.
All right, with all those kudos, I think that I already asked public comment. We have a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I need a
Second.
second and a second. We move over. Yes.
One moment.
Yes.
All right, Commissioners Murtaugh,
Yes.
Salwan,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Blackie,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
Go forth and work. Very much. Okay, move on to item 6, approving a MOU with South Delta College.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Commissioners, so we're gonna go back to 2021 when the then Chair, Mayor Fugazi, directed staff to stand up a program, whereas in her words, we could grow homegrown staff to work on board the trains. We were in the midst of the pandemic, so there were between BNSF, Union Pacific, and Amtrak, there were about 3,000 or 3,500 positions that were open, as well as we were in the conversations for Valleyville. So she recognized and the board recognized that we needed to do something about this. And so that's where TRAC-C began, was at the board direction. And so staff worked with the goal of expanding or increasing the number of folks who want to work on board. And so we stood up a program for onboard conductors as well as engineers to operate the train. And when TRAC-C was born, which is the Rail Academy of Central California. Okay, so the metrics phase, or the what do we call it? The pilot phase of the program has now ended, and we have numbers to present. So total graduates from the program, we have 44 graduates. 12 of those graduates have been hired by the rail industry, including Union Pacific. Tasman has hired probably 4 or 5. So they're out there working. 15 graduates are currently actively seeking employment. Much to our surprise, competition is fierce. So for instance, Amtrak, they may have one position for an assistant conductor with 50 applicants. Tasman may have a few positions, and there are now seasoned folks out there that are looking for positions. So our TRAC-C graduates are now meeting a little bit of competition, but that's okay. They're working through it. Currently, in our cohort that graduates in August, we have 29 students, and we have 14 students enrolled in the program that began in May, and they will graduate in January, December, not fall. So now that the pilot is complete, we have learned a lot of lessons. And one of the crucial lessons that we've learned is our current educational partner is Sacramento City College. The name of our program is the Rail Academy of Central California. So as we're performing outreach, we get a lot of moms, their students, their parents, or excuse me, their children want to attend the program. And they're, okay, you're in the Rail Academy of Central California, what's the connection to Sacramento? Does my child have to travel to Sacramento? And then also one of the lessons that we learned during one place where we went with the chair is Congressman Harder told us face to face, why aren't you working with Delta, with Sacramento City College and the group? So he made, a couple of bells go off. And so it just makes sense now that the pilot program is over. We have the lessons learned. We've heard from, our funders, we've heard from the community to seek approval to transition the program to Delta. So why Delta College? Delta College, they're here today to support the agenda item. They serve the community where employees live. They're a regional, major regional educational partner here. They have strong work relationships with San Joaquin County WorkNet. They have a successful partnership with RTD. Thank you for RTD for hosting staff, where we were able to really take a deep dive into the partnership between RTD and Delta. And also they have a strong dual enrollment program. So one of the challenges, or not a challenge, but one of the opportunities for improvement is that the schools in the San Joaquin County struggle to enter into dual enrollment agreements with Sacramento City College, just based on their regional, the geographic location. Well, Delta already has a lot of those dual enrollment, the majority of the dual enrollment agreements. They also have a great partnership with Tesla. So this model is tested already between RTD and Tesla. So it just makes perfect sense. They also offer counseling and veteran services to the community. So what will change? Today, Sacramento City College administers Track C. Tomorrow, or with your approval, not exactly tomorrow, Delta will administer the program. Right now, the REL Commission manages the educational partnership, and I really like to take the opportunity to just thank Megan. Because she is, once she's joined the REL services team, she really upgraded this program. And so she became knowledgeable of all the educational pieces of the program that were needed. She helped out the students, and that will shift a little bit as we go with Delta. We'll become an industry partner. So we'll be the source for Delta when they need to have conversations with the railroads about the guaranteed interviews. If they need to seek funding from someone who's looking for the connection to rail, we'll serve as that rail industry partner. Today, there are limited regional student access. So our students are coming from the Bay Area, they're coming from here. And just seeing the Sacramento City College, they truly are shying away. But with Delta, that will change. So we'll have expanded enrollment. As well as Delta has already agreed with board approval to stand up the fleet maintenance program. So that program is set to start where we will have mechanical training. And Delta will now take on with board approval the onboarding program. So they will now oversee board conductors and engineers, that part of the program. So under Delta, we will have with board approval, the onboard part of the program, as well as the fleet maintenance program. The timeline, so where we are today, we're presenting to the board. And the final Track C program, or the final graduation for Track C with Sac City will be in August of next year. And pending board approval, we will have the Delta-led program will start also in August, with the graduates, the first Delta-led graduates completing the program in August of 2028. And one of the other things that I failed to mention is the program will shift. Currently, classes are either held here at Cabral or at the RMF facility. And that's really, we're a rail operator. So we're not built to have classrooms here. So Delta has graciously agreed to host the classroom portion at their facility in Stockton. So our students, a lot of them who've never been to college, who don't have any interest in really going to university, they will still get that walk around the campus feel with the backpacks and that college living and everything that Delta offers their students. But we will still hold at the rail maintenance facility the ground school, so where they can touch the equipment, learn about the wrenches, all of those good things. And then also in partnership with Union Pacific, they're going to continue to allow us to use their facility in Stockton. So the students will have a hands-on here at the rail maintenance facility, and then the in-person classes will take place in Delta. Okay, so funding for this effort is already included, identified in the budget. It's a total of $207,000, and thanks to our grants team, we have received funding from Chrissy as well as TRSA. So we have funding to carry us through for 5 years, and then Delta also has access to funding that we just don't have access to on the educational side. And then there's also a program that they will work with WorkNet to go after funding or request funding. So the recommendation is for the board to approve the MOU to start the transition process from Sacramento City College to Delta for both programs, the onboard program as well as the mechanical program. Questions?
I would turn to our commissioners. Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tamika, Megan. I mean, it really has grown into something that is a model, not just for around here, but I think nationwide. Sac City at the time was the only one that had a transportation program. So we were limited. I remember reaching out to Delta and they just weren't ready for it. But I love the president of Delta. She's very forward thinking. She's very engaged in the community. She's open to ideas and programs because in the end, we want to have that trained workforce. But it wouldn't happen if you all didn't carry that heavy load, and knowing that now the hands-on portion will be here with us or UP, but in the classroom, it'll be at Delta College. And I think it will just open up to even more people of all ages, not just young people, but of all ages, and they'll have access to it because they, starting out, small. And now hearing that it's competitive, I'm like, wait, where are all those vacancies? But they'll be able to demonstrate that they have the skills. And some of them might be wanting to travel to other parts or move to other parts of the United States to perform these duties and have these jobs. So I couldn't be happier with the evolution of the program. I'm just so proud of it and all the work that you guys have done. And I'm looking forward to that full transition to Delta College.
This is great, you guys. Anytime we have the opportunity to bring more education opportunities to our residents, it's a good thing. Something like fleet maintenance, AI can take that over. We need boots on the ground, we need fingers behind those branches, and that this kind of work will always be here. And to be able to have the opportunity for our young ones to be able to go into a field like this and have that education and the assistance with trying to secure a job in the future is priceless. So thank you so much for all the work that you guys put into this.
I'd like to actually ask you, if you might introduce our Delta College partners.
Yes.
These are going to be our partners, and I appreciate board trustees accepting this program, working with us in partnership. So why don't we introduce our new partners?
So Joe, he'll say a few words during the comment. He is the vice president over the few programs with Delta. And then Danelle, she will be our day-to-day dean over the program. So she's assisting us with writing curriculum, hiring or transferring over the instructors or hiring new instructors.
Terrific. Welcome, and I look forward to future reporting and having you all join us. Would you like to say anything before we move on to public comment and action?
So on behalf of Delta College and Dr. Lawrenson, president, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this. It makes sense. Delta College is right here, backyard. And what we do best is training and education. So it makes sense to have our partnership. And I remember in 2021, I believe, where it was proposed that Sac City would take on this endeavor, and they came to us that we would get permission for that to happen because we were crossing district lines. So I met with Dr. Lawrenson and I said, I really think this is an important program. I hate for us to give it away completely. And so what we agreed was that Sac City would continue on with doing what they were doing, and then we would take on the maintenance when that time came. So at this point, I told her it was very important because her family is railroad family, my family is railroad family, and the rail system means a lot to us. So I thought that it would be something that we definitely would want to take on, and also, we're in the business of trying to provide little wages for our students, and we definitely have that here with the rail. So I thank you very much. I would like to introduce Danelle. Danelle Hepworth she's the one who's taken on writing the curriculum and certificate pathway. And so she's been very instrumental. And at this time, she's been a dean and she's a professor as well. So she's very busy. Thank you. I'm Joe Gonzalez. I'm the acting associate vice president of career technical education and workforce development at Delta College.
Thank you, all, we appreciate it. Can I ask for any additional public comment at this time? Do we have any comment online?
Seeing none online,
Do we have any additional public comment in the room with us? None here. Seeing none, any other last items of discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. I moved in second, so roll call please.
thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Yes.
Salwan,
Yes.
Fugazi.
Yes.
Immediate, yes.
Chair Craig Hensley,
Absolutely.
thank you, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
For leading the charge on this.
It's just nice to see a project come to fruition.
Yeah.
Just as you envisioned it.
When I retire, hire me.
Gotta go back to school. So, yeah. Okay, at this point, we're moving on to any board member comments. Are there any members of the board who would like to make any comments in general? Okay, none online.
None online.
Okay, I am gonna take this opportunity to note the passing of Alameda Supervisor Scott Haggerty. Some of you had served with him.
Did you just say that?
Yes, yes. It was really a health condition. So his family announced it this past weekend. So he was a longtime public servant. He served 6 4-year terms as District 1 Supervisor, representing Dublin, Livermore, Fremont, and Incorporated East County. He was a founding director of the ACE Authority from 97 to 2003, and a special voting rail commissioner 2003 to his retirement from office in 2020. And if I understand correctly, very much the original champion for Valley Link. Leo served with him on Valley Link board. Mayor Marchand, do you have any comments you'd like to make with your connection?
So I worked with Scott for better than 20 years. We worked very closely. I was on the Alameda County Transportation Commission when he was the chair, and worked with him when we stood up Valley Link, and he was an absolute champion for transportation and for bettering people's lives. So he was still very involved, and it's a tremendous loss. And I would like to thank him for the tremendous commitment and work he had done for all of us.
We do appreciate the acknowledgement. So, are there any other comments?
Well, I just brought him up last Wednesday when I was in my AVA meeting, you know, how alternative energy, using clean energy was, he told me, was the proudest achievement that he had.
It's been far named after me.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm just, you know, I'm taken aback, I did not know. But he left an indelible mark. I mean, those of you that were here at our rail meetings, he really would let people have it, I would say. He wanted accountability. Accountability was of high importance to him and to us as an agency and a commission. But yeah, I'm just sorry to hear this.
Those. So, if there's no other board member comments on any other items, we will move to ex officio comments.
Yes.
So, Mr. Beardsley, would you like to stand up and do that since you're here and obviously anxious to talk?
Well, I want to say, it's amazing what Chris has done in a short time. He gave me a synopsis of what his vision was and asked me to help. And so we got together and we put together what he needed to make this come to fruition. And it's just amazing how fast he did that. So I think you had one board member say, "We're glad to have Chris. Chris, you're glad to have Dayton." You know, because it's very rare that you can get somebody to see your vision that fast with very little pushback. So I just want to come up and say, you've done a great job, and RTD is here. If we can help, we're going to help. you know, and all, and I think I've proven that to you, and I'm planning on standing with you as long as I'm here.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay, let's go to Stan Cog, Mayor Swallen. Do you have any updates?
Hi there, everyone. Hi there. Good to be with you today. Just one fun little comment to make is we had a Gold Runner passenger appreciation event at the Amtrak station here in Modesto. And from what I understand, it was a week ago Friday, late afternoon, early evening. And apparently there was a surprise at how many people showed up. There was a lot of people there. Modesto showed up. So especially when there's tacos and shaved ice. So that was great. A lot of people there. I drove in and the parking lot was packed. So appreciate everyone's help with that. And those of you that were there that made it happen. That's it.
Thank you, appreciate your commenting on that. So moving on, do we have anyone from SJ Cog?
No,
No. Do we have anyone from Caltrans?
No.
Okay, if not, then we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is our Chief Executive Officer's report. How that's CEO report.
Thank you. Just a couple quick items. First, I'd like to recognize our newest employee, Jaime Mejia, here. Jaime joins us in our support services. Very happy to have him. I particularly am happy when I arrived for my first day, the first face I saw was Jaime. He helped me get set up and moving. So very, very happy to have him on board. He was previously a contractor and now will be a direct hire for the role within the team. And so very happy to have him here and join the team.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Also, just as a reminder, tomorrow at 11 a.m. we have a ribbon cutting for the Channel Street improvements. So very happy for those that can join us tomorrow for that ribbon cutting. We'll be out on Channel Street to cut the ribbon for completion of the project, and then there will be we'll be welcoming folks back here to see the renovations to the cross station. So looking forward to that tomorrow. And then one final thing, just wanted to do a quick wrap up. As the commission knows, we in special service for FIFA and for the World Cup games that were occurring in Santa Clara. The commission will get a full summary at the next meeting in August. But just wanted to highlight that it was a huge success. We had very different trains on each of the days of provided service, and just a huge thank you to the team. Everyone stepped up and really did a great job, from everyone from the rail services team that got the trains ready, and the PSRs and the board folks who were supporting it, and then folks from throughout the organization who just jumped in to help. This was a different time frame than we usually serve, different type of service than we normally do, and it required a lot of logistical changes. Just very happy with the team and representing a service on the world stage, people say. So you'll get a full rundown next in your next meeting. We just wanted to highlight it was a good success for the agency. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And now moving on to item 10, closed session. If other hearings can closed session.
Good morning. We have one item 10 for session following employee performance evaluation and percent to government code section 54957. There's one position, chief executive officer, which is 85%. And that item is for regular voting members
Only. With that, listeners to be closed session.
I didn't know there was one of that.
In case you wanna look them up or not, you know.
If there are little pictures of the design of the station, we want to say, other than doing this, it's just.
Yeah, I look bad.
Well, that's what they can, yeah, there anyway.
Don't tell me, I said.
I make sure I'm not in the. Or my camera's not on my phone.
We're done. All right, you ready?
We are ready, yes.
Okay. We're turning from closed session, on public employee performance evaluation pursuant to government code sections 54957, when positions you executive officer, will you report out on that? And, well, yes. Mr.
I did say dismissal. Don't say that.
Mr. Rogan is, doing such. Yeah, thank you very much. And with that, what I'd like to do today is adjourn the meeting in memory of Scott Haggerty. And I might ask staff to please note that and to inform his family that we did adjourn in its memory. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.